You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Three's a Crowd, the only North East football podcast where we bring Newcastle, Sunderland, and Middlesbrough fans together for a bit of banter, a bit of rivalry, and a whole lot of fun. We are joined by Mr. Steve Wraith and Ted the Mackham, and it is me, Rye, for your season of hope, dreams, and what will come. It is here. Middlesbrough kick off today, and then there's a couple more friendlies for both of the teams on the either side of me here before their Premier League dreams await next week. I can't believe it, lads. It's been 2 months of World Cup football. And I mean, obviously Middlesbrough went long into May with the Wembley trip and that, but it feels like yesterday. And all of a sudden we're on the eve of the season. Middlesbrough kicking off today at home against Lincoln City. Newcastle obviously have a couple more friendlies, and then Sunderland have only got one more friendly before they kick off their season as well. It is absolutely crazy. And we are here for your whole season long on Three's a Crowd. I'm joined by Mr. Ted the Mackham. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sunshine. Good morning. I hear Steve's actually going to get a second job as an Uber driver outside of St James's Park. But yeah, probably quite a lot of business to be had there. Anyway, that's the only job I'm going to get in, and I don't do that. I'm not going to lower myself to that level. I don't normally do that. I can only apologise.
I'm going to give you right. I'm going to give you behind the scenes. He literally dropped this joke just before we went live as well. So he's here.
Nice.
Bang, bang.
Nothing's rehearsed. It's off the cuff, off the top of my dome, as the rappers say.
Hit him twice with the same joke in 5 minutes. Steve Wraith, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, mate. Good morning. Good morning to all our lovely viewers.
He's your mate.
And not long now until the big return of Coventry City to the Premier League. Looking forward to welcoming them back, and hopefully
I deserve that.
6 points off Ted's team.
I deserve that. Yeah.
Oh, lads. What a season we've got ahead of us. Obviously, it's been absolutely crazy summer. Middlesbrough going bang for buck, buying all of the players that we've always wanted. Sunderland not really spending, but keeping hold of some players. And Steve has lost more than his fair share of hometown heroes in this summer. It's been quite the unbelievable summer when you sit down and look at it. Lads, at the end of last season, if you had have sat here on the eve of the new season, and I would have told you that Middlesbrough have spent 40 million, Newcastle have lost the players they've lost, and Sunderland haven't bought anyone. I mean, Steve, would you call me a liar?
Yeah, I would. I didn't expect this at all. I didn't think last summer would be eclipsed. See what I did there? But it has been by this summer. Anthony Gordon, Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes going out. Don't think we could have argued with any of them going. Bruno was the big shock. We've already discussed that, but the fact that we haven't brought in adequate replacements is going to bite us on the backside, I think. Bringing a manager in who literally has less than 3 weeks to get all of this right in time for a game against Liverpool at St James's Park, which will be full of emotion because of Kevin Keegan's passing. It's mission impossible. Not even David McCullum could sort this one out, I'm afraid. It's one of those scenarios where we are really in a big mess, and it's a mess of our own making, and the owners are to blame, and that's it. It's as simple as that. We've still got a transfer window that's open till the 1st of September, and I get why some people are optimistic to a degree. You know, new manager, big reset, bringing young players in, etc. But you know, it's the biggest gamble Newcastle United have made in their history. Really, for me, it's a massive ask to see these players suddenly become Premier League class in a matter of days. And everything that I've seen in the friendly so far worries me. There is a lack of interest from some of those so-called senior players. Some of them are looking as if they're looking lost without their mates in the dressing room, and looking as if they're scratching their heads and wondering why they're still there. Hoping that maybe there's a bid or a deal that can be done so they can get out of the club that's not really promised what it said on the tin, and that's the big concern. So it's and bringing young players in, which, look, having young players come into a football club or promoting young players from the reserves or 21s or whatever you call it these days is commendable, but not a massive amount altogether. It's crazy. And look, we haven't seen Dan Burn or Lewis Miley, Tino Livramento in the team, but I was at the Everton game Wednesday and we started with 6 first teamers. We started with 6 of last year's team and none of them looked interested. None of them looked capable of doing anything this season. Botman's horrendous. Botman is probably the biggest letdown. There's something seriously wrong with that guy. Joe Linton, disgraced the captain's armband midweek. He shouldn't have been given it. There was lack of effort. We went a goal down. We played okay for 15 minutes. We went a goal down, and then there was nothing from him. It's just all doom and gloom, I'm afraid, from me.
Yeah.
And my viewers are probably going to get sick of me hearing me go on like this for the next couple of weeks, because I think the first few games of the season could be difficult. I hope I'm wrong, and I'd love to be proved wrong.
Yeah.
And this is nothing against the manager, because I don't know the guy. There's nothing I can
Nobody
say
does.
about the manager because he's an unknown. He's a complete unknown. And that can work. Sometimes you can change your team and bring a manager in. We've mentioned Sunderland did it. Brentford, of course, went from Thomas Frank and, promoted a manager who everyone was scratching their heads, and everyone me included, had Brentford down as guaranteed relegation for the last season. So it can work. It can change, your fortunes. So let's just hope it does. But at the moment, I'm struggling to find any positives.
Well, after that cheery story, Teddy boy, over to you, mate. I mean, I feel for you, Steve. I really do. Looking from the outside in, mate, it really has been a tumultuous summer. But Teddy boy, on the flip side, Sunderland, mate, I mean, you haven't bought anyone. Do you know what I mean? But on the same token, as coming from Steve's neck of the woods, you haven't lost anyone. I mean, there were rumours of the Xhaka and all that sort of stuff, but I think the biggest compliment that we can give Sunderland right now, albeit haven't gone into the transfer market heavily as we might have expected by now, haven't lost any of those core players. And I'm talking about the ones that have drawn interest in Xhaka and Brobby and stuff like this. I mean, Dan Ballard, who signed a new contract. I mean, I think the key is that you haven't lost any of those key players from last season.
Absolutely, and that was vital because when a team does well, and it's proved it's happened with Brighton, it's happened with Brentford, it's happened with Bournemouth as well, where standout performers in teams like ours who are mid-table, let's call us at this moment in time. The big boys tend to circle, and the likes of Liverpool come in. I fully expected Liverpool to come crashing in for Dan Ballard, to be honest, because I know that defensively they are well short at the minute. I mean, to be honest, Virgil van Dijk's hamstrings are going to be like a lamb shank by the end of the first 6 games because he's just going to cover everything. But listen, holding on to players like that's hugely important for ourselves. It's I just saying before the show, it's those lads who played last season, the likes of Talby, the likes. You go right through the squad, Sadiki, all of that, Brobby as well. They've all now got a season of experience in the Premier League and know what they're up against. So as much as a few clubs might have us worked out, we're extremely difficult to play against because of the style of play. We do employ deploy a low block. We like to hit on the counter. We use Brobby as a battering ram. And sometimes there's not an awful lot you can do to counteract that, apart from put us on the back foot. Holding on to players like that is huge. When I say that the players who we have sold, it's players who we expected to go. The likes of Patterson, getting 10 million for an academy graduate who is a very good championship keeper, right? I'm not going to knock him. His distribution's worse than DHL, but let's be 10 million. Well, it's 8 million up front. 10 rises up to 10 if Wrexham get promoted, and on a couple of other clauses as well. Which, to be honest, I mean, we'll get back to the predictions later on. I do think Wrexham will actually go up this season. So the likes of Pato, the likes of Mayenda, who obviously gets a real nice opportunity to say farewell today because obviously we're playing against his new club in a friendly. So that'll be emotional, and that lad deserves a big send-off from Sunderland fans, because everybody talks about the Tommy Watson goal that got us promotion to the Premier League. Let's not forget that Mayenda got the equaliser in that and scored some really important goals. So, and one of the most iconic chants I think we've had in many years as well for Mayenda. So he deserves his flowers. He deserves his day in the sunshine, the day at the stadium, and he'll get a great response. But yeah, you look at the likes of Helder, people like that, who've been sold. I believe that Abdullah Ba is also on his way to Peterborough United as well. Which, I mean, let's be honest, he hasn't had a good game. I think the last good game I seen him have was our first one back in the Championship against Middlesbrough. So listen, those, I'm not going to call them deadwood because that does a massive disservice, but the people who are just not going to be of the quality that we require. Interestingly, from your perspective, though, right, is the fact that Alan Brown looks like he's going to get his opportunity to stay at the club and actually try and work for a place. Yeah. He's going to come in massively useful because he's an experienced head. And
you can play anywhere.
Well, that's it, and you need experience. You need people who know the game well. And for cup games, for the occasional game in the Premier League where you just need to rest the likes of Xhaka, that's going to be huge. Yeah. So he didn't get sent on loan to Middlesbrough because Sunderland think he's a crap player. They sent him on loan because he needs time on the pitch, and he wasn't going to get it last season. He might just get it this time around. So let's see.
Especially with the Europe journey.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. You're talking about it. I think it's going to be a minimum of I've read somewhere 53 games or something like that.
Crazy,
minimum, isn't it? This season. So yeah, we've got to be prepared for that. And I think there still will be incomings. I know there's a few people out in press land who are getting a bit twitchy about the lack of incomings. We've just got to bide our time. We're not going to do what we did last season and reinvent the squad.
Yeah,
we need 4 bits of quality added to the squad, and Sunderland are doing their best to kind of play that cleverly. Not just in terms of the budget, but the kind of player that you want to bring in as well. It's massively important to do that. So yeah, I'm happy. I did have a question for Steve though, just something that I didn't get in last week, and it's not me being funny this time around. The CEO, Steve, when he did the whole conference about the Newcastle United version 2.0 and all that kind of thing, there was a bit in there that really had me puzzled. There was, what was it? Something along the lines, we've been living beyond our means, and at some point the credit card bill has to be paid. Now, it makes sense in today's world of football. However, for me, Newcastle are one of the only ones out of that top half over the last couple of seasons that have actually been playing by the rules. How do you see Newcastle living beyond their means when they were actually one of the rarities that were living within the constraints of financial fair play?
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't understand that either. Other than the fact that Newcastle had been hauled over the coals by UEFA, you can't get away with anything really when you're owned by a Saudi investment fund. It's just basically, as you think you've turned the corner and you've got on a straight road, someone's coming out the side with another barrier to block you, and that's where we've been really with this. But yeah, the bottom line is we've now got squad cost rotation. We moved into a different area, so maybe we have been paying wages which were based on on European qualification each season potentially, and that's why the credit card needs to be paid. But maybe PIF have budgeted for X amount of money going into the football club over a certain period, and maybe that's been maybe spent a little bit too much than they thought. Newcastle bought Leeds Terrace, so that's going to come into the equation, because from our perspective, we aren't just buying players. We're doing the training ground up. We've basically put a new pitch in. We've upgraded the ground. There's new screens in the stadium. The training ground's being upgraded. All of this done at the time when we're not making the same kind of commercial revenue as bigger clubs, and we're not going to be able to do that until we get a bigger stadium. So I think that's what he means. I mean, the bottom line is you read the accounts, then they don't really make sense to anyone unless you're an accountant. You can try and make sense of it, but the basics, like the ins and outs, are there. But there's lots of things shrouded in mystery at every football club. What's this money for? Where does that go? What does that actually mean? What does that particular thing in the accounts cover? Does it cover this? Does it cover that? It's not as simple as just selling shirts, selling gate receipts, and that's it. It's not a simple profit and loss sheet. It's very complicated trying to work out where on earth you're at. But yeah, we're just in a mess, and that's it. It's financially we're not allowed to spend the money that we've got, and until we are, we'll always be playing this game, unfortunately.
Well, on to finally the best team of the three, the one that's not in a mess at all, and the one that's spending money. Teddy boy, up the borough. We are back, baby. It is Middlesbrough's day to return to the championship with a new look squad spending around 40 mil so far, and more to come, as we heard Kim Hellberg in his press conference this week. Middlesbrough take on Lincoln City, who have not been in the championship, lads, since 1960. It's a return for the Imps to the championship today, and it's a return to the Riverside for Middlesbrough to get their season underway. The second, it's kind of a second for Kim Hellberg, obviously joining us halfway after the Rat left last season. It's going to be interesting to see how Kim Hellberg comes up against his opponents this season, against the likes of Tonda and that Southampton battle that we know is going to be ferocious. It's going to be interesting to see how the likes of Wolves and Burnley, the teams that came down, and West Ham, obviously, who are quite hot favourites to get straight back up again. Can Middlesbrough do it? Well, who knows? We were sitting here this time last season, weren't we? We were under Rob Edwards, and we were all sitting there going, well, this should be fun. And we spent on a lot of money on all these players we never heard of. Well, now I've got Kim Hellberg 12 months later. It's a funny time in football. And we've got Will Lancashire leading the Reds today against Lincoln Town. It's going to be Lincoln City. It's going to be very interesting to see how this new group gels together. And I'm really excited. I have never been more excited for Kim Hellberg to be in charge of a team that's been built for him again. We heard from Kieran Scott. We've heard from, half of America who loves us now because we've bought 3 Americans. It's incredible. And I'm very excited to get back into the season, obviously kicking a week off earlier than both of you two. It's a long old slog in the championship. Obviously, we have got Carabao Cup action as well, being drawn next round to Doncaster. But it's a long old season, lads, and it gets back underway for the EFL Championship. Steve, I was talking to you pre-show, mate. Having to see Kieran Trippier in a Wolves shirt last night might have been a bit different for a few Newcastle fans. They started their league campaign off with a 2-2 draw to Tony Mowbray, who's Steve's best friend, Blackburn Rovers. He's back in the charge there. It's a long old slog, the championship, lads. You both know it quite well. What are your predictions, obviously, for this season's championship? Is there any surprise packets? Are you expecting anything? I mean, last season we had Spygate. We had absolutely everything in the championship. We had Leicester City going back-to-back relegations after them getting double trouble with the money and everything like that. Is there anything surprising that you're expecting this season, Teddy boy?
I mean, my predictions are I think Borough will do very, very well, mate. I've got them picked for a top 2 finish.
That's it. That's my
I think they've bought extremely well. I love Lancashire as a striker. I've said that many a time anyway. I think he's one of those who could fire you into the Premier League and also do a job in the Premier League as well. I don't know what the deal entails, whether there's any sort of buyback or sort of sell-on clauses with Tottenham, because they're usually pretty wily about these things. I know they had certain clauses in place with Jack Clark and Dennis Serkin as well. Listen, he's a Borough player for now. You're building a very good squad there. I think you've done great business with the goalkeeper, which I think is a position that really needed addressing. Not that your current keeper has been naff in any way. You just need to have competition for places there. It's an important position. So, yeah, listen, I have high hopes for Middlesbrough. Looking around the rest of the division, yet again, Wrexham are strengthening and using the clout that they've got.
What do you make of the 3 Premier League teams coming down? Obviously, you witnessed them firsthand last season. Middlesbrough will be new to them, all 3 of them this season. In Wolves, obviously, Burnley we know from a couple of seasons ago when we were both in the championship together. But West Ham as well, a big one. They seem to be all big fish in a small pond again.
Yeah, I think only West Ham for me are kind of like the pick of them. Again, I think West Ham will be one of the 2 that goes up automatically with Middlesbrough. Listen, I think keeping a hold of Jared Bowen was an absolute masterstroke for them because he is Premier League class. It'd be interesting to see if it costs him a place in the England squad for any upcoming friendlies and qualifiers as well. It shouldn't, because the Championship is an extremely competitive league. It's got some wonderful sides in there. I'm looking forward to seeing Blackburn kind of re-emerge under Tony Mowbray and see if they can regain that kind of attacking football that he was famed for. I mean, as much as I love Regis Labrise, I would say the quality of football we played under Tony Mowbray probably edged it in terms of that attacking flair.
They took it to Wolves last night. They did take it to Wolves last night. It was exciting.
Absolutely. And Wolves have got a good side. Let's not make any qualms about that. They'll definitely be in among the runners. Yes, listen, that's a steal for the Championship. Between him and Lancashire, I would say they probably finished top. The other one, Burnley, can't see them doing anything, mate. I really can't. I think they do bounce around between the divisions a little bit. Burnley, I just expect them to be out of the running for a couple of years while they rebuild again and bore everybody with their defensive football. Let's be honest, that's the case. So yeah, but listen, I only think West Ham will be in among the promotion chasers in terms of automatic. Middlesbrough, I think, like I say, really looking forward to seeing what they do this season. They've built a good squad. You've held on to who you needed to hold on to. Yeah. You were never going to hold on to Hackney.
No.
It's another one. I'd be interested to see if he can make the step up to Premier League because everybody expects he can. One of the players who I thought you would have went in for, mate, and he's just signed for QPR, was Dennis Serkin at left back. I was really surprised nobody went in. I know, obviously, he's. I know he's had his problems with injuries and all that sort of thing. But I do wish the lad well. But I thought with him being in the northeast, Borough should have had at least a look at him. But yeah, it's. I think for where you are right now, mate, I'm looking forward to watching some Championship football again. Hopefully, not involving Sunderland next season.
Yeah, no, not wrong. Steve, obviously, one eye on the better league out of the Premier League. It is the Championship, mate. One that you haven't, been a part of for some years. Obviously, a bit doom and gloom in your neck of the woods, mate. But the Championship, seeing the likes of Kieran Trippier there and Wolves colours last night was very weird. It was very weird. It's going to take some getting used to. But like you said pre-show, mate, it's going to take some getting used to see a lot of the Newcastle boys that you used to love and care about in different colours this season. But into the Championship, mate, we bring the likes of West Ham, Burnley, obviously, coming down from the Premier League, coming up from League One. Obviously, we see the likes of Cardiff returning and stuff like that. There are some big names in the Championship, mate, and it's a bloody tough league.
Yeah, the Championship it's a breath of fresh air when you do get relegated. It's great for that one season as long as you bounce straight back. And that's obviously what the likes of Wolves, Burnley, West Ham will be hoping to do. Look, Middlesbrough have been there and done it and got the T-shirt the last few years, just never really managed to get it over the line, unfortunately. So this has to be their year. They've gone big on signings, biggest transfer window for Middlesbrough for a while. So you would expect Middlesbrough to be there or thereabouts, like we've said already. I do expect to see West Ham up there. I think that Nuno will do the job well. And look, there's always going to be the outsiders, especially with the playoffs being extended this year. There's going to be your Millwalls, your Southamptons, your Wrexhams. You would expect to still be hovering in and around there. Sheffield United are always going to be a team that takes points off other teams. Blackburn under Tony Mowbray has got a fighting chance.
Yeah,
but it's going to be an exciting league this season. I would say that it probably won't be a season where somebody runs away with it. I think it'll be tight. Okay. I think it'll be a tight league this season. I think everybody can beat everybody on the day. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think I think people will be tuning into the Championship as well as the Premiership this season.
A lot of rule changes obviously coming into effect this season as well. A lot of time wasting sort of trying to be pushed out of the game. We'll see all those new rules come into effect today as well for the EFL Championship as well as the Premier League. Still no VAR in the Championship as well. They voted against it, but the door keeps knocking for VAR in the Championship. We saw last night again another penalty go against Blackburn in the case where it was a handball we thought outside of the box, but it was given inside the box and a penalty to Wolves. But no VAR in the Championship, but there are some changes. If you haven't got your head around it, make sure you check out the changes coming into the EFL and the Premier League. Lads, we're on the eve of the Premier League, 1 week to go. I mean, Championship starts today. I cannot believe it. We've got everything back and raring to go. We've got both Steve, the only new club with a new manager out of the three Northeast ones is you. Kim Hilberg staying, Regis Labrise staying. It's been a season And a summer of change for Newcastle United and for Sunderland. But for Middlesbrough, it's been a bit more status quo in terms of the coaching staff, which I've been quite, impressed with and stuff like that. How have you found settling in with a new manager, mate? Because you haven't had to do it for 5 years. Obviously, you've had a friendly now against Hayden Hackney and his Everton. But how are you feeling under a new manager, mate, after 5 years of Eddie Howe?
Well, I mean, it feels strange having a new manager in the first and only press conference we've seen him give. Prior to the trip to Everton, he gave a few sound bites. He came in, he shook all the media's hands, and just said all the kind of standard. Yeah, said all the standard things that you would expect him to say, but we can't make a judgment on him at all at this moment in time. He's clearly media trained, like most managers are, and was quite interested when he said, we need 2 players. I presume he meant for each position, but 2 players coming in won't fix the problems that we've got at Newcastle United at the moment. We need at least 5 coming in. So why he says 2, I don't know. He's quick to point out that he's got no control over that as well, which again is worrying. That it's Ross Wilson's job, not his. He's passing the buck already.
Will he be given time, like Eddie? Do you think? Will he be given time if he gets off to a rocky start?
I don't know, is the honest answer. I can't speak for other fans. I can only speak for myself. I'll support the manager and I'll support the team like I always do. But it's a powder keg, ready to go off. I think at the minute Newcastle, because a lot of fans are very disappointed. It splits fans. We're very disunited as a fan base. Just going up and down on the train and sitting talking to people from different age groups, and the youngsters have never had to deal with losing players of the stature of Bruno, Gordon and Tonali. So that's their Gascoigne, Waddle and Beardsley all in one summer. So we're used to losing players. It doesn't mean as much. I think the fact that there's still a potential for other players to leave and weaken the squad further is a concern, and the fact that we are literally like a sloth when it comes to making incomings, and the business does tend to get broadcast to one and all, and we're so slow we tend to miss out, and when a player's quoted at 50 million, we go in lower. We try and barter, like you're going around the foreign markets. It's a really strange scenario. It really is, and for me, I just think that we are going to struggle this season. I just can't say any more. But as for the manager, fans have given him a new song. He's looking forward to coming to St James's Park. Blah 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 blah. It's his job to get it right. His job is head coach, and his job is to coach the lads and get the best out of them. And he's got to pick the right team, and that's where his job starts, and that's where his job finishes. And if he doesn't pick the right team and he can't motivate them and he can't get results like every other manager, he'll be on the dole queue, and the next man will come in. But this is a huge gamble. We are synonymous with names in football in that dugout. I don't know who this bloke is. I don't care that he's won 2 Asia Cups. That means absolutely nothing to me. I just hope that he can do the job and do it to the best of his ability, and we can finish 17th, because that's where we're at the minute.
Yeah, Teddy boy,
Steve,
obviously.
Sorry, I was just going to ask you.
No, you're right.
I'll put my hand up.
So rude.
Do you think that's part of the reason, Steve, why they're buying younger players who aren't recognised names? It kind of removes any egos out of the dressing room and makes it easier for a younger manager with no Premier League experience to come in. It's sort of so he can put his stamp of authority on a squad without having the likes of the names like Tonali and Bruno hanging over him, who are bigger names than the manager. Do you think there's some sort of a thought process behind that?
I don't know what the thought process is, other than to have a reset, create Newcastle 2.0 and pay the credit card bills, which is what David Hopkinson has said. So I don't know what this is all about. I really don't. There's clearly something not gone right behind the scenes for all of these players to suddenly go to 12 months after Bruno and Tonali waxed lyrical about Newcastle, saying everybody wanted to go there and everyone wanted to be there. Suddenly they're out the door. I just find that strange. And they did want out the door. Bruno wanted out the door. He hired a super agent to make his getaway. He told the club in May that he wanted to leave. Anthony Gordon was honest with the fans, and it was a stepping stone. Newcastle. Tonali wanted to leave, so there's no problem with those players going. But yeah, you talk about egos. Les is, Yassel is more than capable of dealing with egos and is very well known throughout Europe. But to who, Les? I've never heard of him. I don't watch European football. I don't know who he is. He's, I can see it going pear-shaped for him if he doesn't get the results, but that's the same as any manager. I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him. I don't know anything about him. His reputation means nothing to me because I've never watched any of those competitions that he's won. And people can say, yeah, he's a winner. Yeah, I won the Gateshead District League Cup. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean I'm capable of winning the Premier League or taking Newcastle United to the Champions League. I mean, how it's. Bobby Robson, Kevin Keegan, Ruud Gullit, Graham Souness.
Love Ruud Gullit.
I could go on, but these are all huge names. Ozzy Ardiles, right? The point I'm trying to make. Well, the point I'm trying to make, and you know what I'm going to say before I even say it. They're huge names in football. Yeah. They're names that some of them didn't get the job right at Newcastle. Yeah. But they're names in football. This is the first time. And, Eddie Howe, people might say, well, he's not really a huge name, but he did well at Bournemouth.
He knew the Premier League,
He took the team from fourth division to the top Premier League. Exactly. And kept them there. Yeah, he suffered relegation, but you know what? Good manager, and he won us our first cup. This guy's completely untried and untested, and it is a real strange scenario. But again, it's all down to the owners. It is down to the owners. This is their door. This is their responsibility, and it's their cock-ups in the boardroom, and losing sporting directors every 12 months. Not appointing CEOs who are hanging around. It's the revolving door in the boardroom that's probably caused more problems than anything else. Trusting the wrong people in the boardroom, people who just haven't had a clue really. Maybe good business people, but aren't good football people, and that's been the major problem, And had they stuck with some of the people that were in the background when Rafa was here, maybe they would have been okay, But this what the club needs at the minute is they need like a Russell Cushion, who was wonderful. When you look back at his time at the club, served the club well, and you just need somebody who knows football. That's what you need.
It's going to be very interesting. Teddy boy, I've got a question for you after the break as well in regards to Sunderland's hopes and ambitions going against Newcastle, obviously last season. Coming into the Premier League, obviously there was, I guess, the belief that Newcastle would and should, beat Sunderland, but you were managed to get, 2 wins over Newcastle in success. And then going into this season, I want to know if your confidence is even higher, but we're going to get to that and a lot more with predictions and Middlesbrough kicking things off. But we've got to sit back. We've got to make Steve laugh. All right. You can see how down this man is. We've got to bring a smile to this beautiful man's face. And there's nothing better for it than Troll of the Week.
Well, Chris Eubank's been in the news this week. He released a single, Careless Litba. I'm never going to dance again. And he's also written a book, lads, about the Titanic. It's called Thinking the Unthinkable. And on this day in 1973, The Way of the Dragon starring Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris was released in the UK. And I don't know how they've done it, but somehow the American police have managed to capture the Predator.
Jesus.
Spitting.
It is, yeah. And Chucky here as well on the bus, all grown up.
It's a wonderful skullet.
And breaking news, Barcola has been spotted at Anfield. And I went out this week, lads, went shopping, got myself some jazz mags.
Oh.
Not quite the magazines I was expecting, lads.
Oh, God. Oh, good God.
And taking a dog named Shark to the beach is not a good idea. And one of these lookalikes for you. Mary Mungo and
Jesus Christ.
And one for Ted. Colin Farrell, Bruce Forsyth, and Jimmy Hill. Shin Bruges.
Shin Bruges.
Jimmy, got him in.
Love it.
At this point as well, lads, Newcastle United could agree a deal to sign Anton Deck, and that would somehow fall through. And severe alert last night on my phone was issued by Newcastle United. There's a very high risk of Newcastle not making any signings this transfer window. Fans, shareholders and stakeholders should not undertake any activity that could improve our squad, including excessive optimism, refreshing Twitter, or getting excited by links. Even a small rumour can rapidly develop into major disappointment, placing top four hopes, trophies and our sanity at risk. For official updates and manage your expectations by calling 1892, search for nufc.co.uk/alerts for more information. And I like this one, a bookshop one, lads, for the intellectuals amongst our watchers. Me, can I borrow the new book about Cockney swear words? The Librarian. You can't. Me, yeah, that's the one. Read it back, folks. Read it back. My favourite one this week was this one, and this is the outright winner. Man arrested after dressing as a Grim Reaper on hospital roof and staring at patients. True story, lads. True story. Happened at Llandudno. He's been at the magistrates this week. If you've got any tweets that you want to send us and any trolls, get them over to me at Steve Wraith, at Invictus, or at Ted the Macam on our socials, and we will feature them next week for Jules.
Imagine getting caught and what your explanation was for that one. That's Troll of the Week. Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, the only Northeast football podcast where we bring Sunderland, Newcastle, and Middlesbrough fans together for a bit of banter, a bit of laugh, and a bit of rivalry. Lads, we're on
Don't even get that on the radio.
No, I agree. You can't see it. And, but some of us, we've always been told that we've got faces for radio, but I think we're all looking pretty good on the eve of a new season, especially the stress we've been in with these three clubs that we love so dearly to us. It's a massive, massive season ahead. We've got a week before the Premier League kicks off, but Middlesbrough taking on Lincoln today against, in the Championship as it gets back underway. I cannot believe it. It is here. We are ready to go. We have signed who we needed to sign. More signings coming in the door for Middlesbrough, but it's going to be a big old slog for the Championship, as we know. 46 games to come. It's just, jeez, I cannot believe it. Newcastle, obviously, you have two more friendlies. You have got Bayer Leverkusen today, Strasbourg on Monday, and Sunderland have only got one more friendly in Rennes. They play them today as well, and then there will be Ipswich Town away. Obviously, Newcastle will be hosting Liverpool next week as well. It's a massive, massive start to the season for both Sunderland, Newcastle, and Middlesbrough as well. Middlesbrough hosting Lincoln City, who have returned to the Championship since 1960, and Middlesbrough have dropped a casual 40 million in a bid to go one better after failing at Wembley last season, and hope to gosh that in their 150th year anniversary, the gold and red kit is out in full swing, that we can do it and go one better and rejoin the Premier League after having such a break away. Lads, I asked a question to Teddy Boy just before, mate, and I just wanted to wrap this up before we obviously move on to looking forward to the start of the new season. But I just wanted to think, just to get your... And I want you to be honest and bullish here, because last season, I think as a neutral, I was sitting here going, well, Newcastle are going to beat Sunderland in the derbies. It's going to happen. You're fresh to the Premier League. We all expected, Sunderland not to do very well. Well, we couldn't be more further from the truth. But now I'm sitting here going, well, the way Newcastle summer has gone and the way Sunderland have stayed together, I think Sunderland would be now favourites going into the two derbies this season. Would you? Are you bullish? Are you in agreement with that Sunderland have now moved ahead of Newcastle because of the summer?
Absolutely not. You'll not get me suckered into making a comment like that, mate. No, nobody's going to bookmark this show. Nobody does. Yeah, nice try, mate. It's not going to work. No, I'm never confident going into a derby, and I don't think a lot of the true Northeast fans, so true fans of Newcastle United, true fans of Sunderland, there's not one of us actually goes into a derby completely confident because they're just great levelers. So while a lot of Sunderland fans are taking some enjoyment in what's going on up at the road in our neighbours and actually seeing them have a little bit of turmoil in the boardroom instead of us it's a welcome change for us not to be the absolute soap opera, let's be honest. But when it comes down to that derby, which is what, the 6th of December, it'll probably get changed to a Sunday anyway, but start of December is the first one, and I'll be just as nervous as I always am because players' form goes out the window for a derby. It completely does, and as we saw, Newcastle made a real good fist of the Champions League last season, but I would say, in the first derby, neither Sunderland nor Newcastle really got it out of first gear.
Yeah,
but that kind of that dramatic fall off happened, and it can happen to either team. We had the days under Steve Bruce where we arguably had the better squad that spent a lot of money, but then they go and absolutely thrash us 5-1 at St James's. Yeah. So it can happen, So I'll never be confident about it. They're always just keenly contested. Apart from the occasional one or two where there's a convincing win, they're tight, cagey, physical affairs, and that's the way they'll always be. So, no, I'm not confident. I'm not bullish in any way, shape, or form. I'll take those derbies and treat them with the respect they absolutely deserve, because over history, there ain't a lot separating us in terms of wins in derbies between the two. So they are keenly fought. And as much as I want Middlesbrough up there in the Premier League as well, it's the greatest derby in the Premier League, and it always will be in my eyes. It's the biggest one. It's the most keenly contested. It will always have my absolute full respect. And yes, of course, I'll enjoy the Mickey taking if we get the chance to get a win. But we'll always look to the next one and go, right, that's that one out of the way. Bear in mind, they haven't beaten us in the league in the last 11 now. They are approaching, the law of averages says they are getting closer to the one where they do get a win. So let's just everyone calm down and treat them with the respect it deserves. I do want to answer one really important question that came up from Lungfall. Rye lives in Australia, but Ted has the better tan. Sunbed, Ted? No, it's because it's winter in Australia and I live in the Mediterranean.
Exactly. It's absolutely pissing down at the moment out here. I can't even exercise here on the window. It's absolutely horrid here. And we're trying to play cricket against Bangladesh and we're losing. It's all crap down here in Australia at the moment. Teddy Boy was quite bullish there, Steve. And I want to flip that question onto you, mate, because I wanted to. It wasn't bullish. And what I'm trying to say is that you were
bullshittish.
Your response. You weren't getting ahead of yourself. You weren't preying on the Newcastle downfall. And that's an admiration to you, Ted. And it's why we love you so much, mate. It's why I love you so much. But Steve, going into this season, mate, and solely just put away everything, going against Sunderland for those two games this season, home and away, if there is any cups or anything like that, but focusing just solely on them. Do you feel like now, after last season, you're kind of going in as a bit of an underdog? Has that sort of mentality flipped for you that you now think that we really need to, seriously swearing, but we really need to, get a result there, and we probably can because we're going in non-favourites, maybe?
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm not even thinking about the derby at the minute. I'm just thinking about where the hell, we're going with the football club. So the derby's the last thing on my mind, to be perfectly honest. I mean, by then we'll have an idea of what kind of reaction our new managers had in that dressing room, whether we've got any new players, and the one thing that we lacked last year was passion in the derby matches. We just didn't turn up for either of them. We didn't give a good account of ourselves in either of those games, and that's why we came away with 2 defeats. So, it needs to be improved. But, I hate to say it, at this moment in time, with the exception of Lewis Miley and Dan Byrne, Jacob Murphy, of course, is a Newcastle fan, as is Lewis Hall. But, we are severely lacking anybody, really, who knows what it means to play in a derby. I mean, it was an accusation hurled at Eddie Howe with 2 defeats last season that even he didn't agree with. But, yes, we understand it. We make sure the players understand it. But, I don't think they did last season, and that's half the problem. But we've got to get our house in order. Got to find a formation. Got to win games before we even consider whether we're underdogs in the derby or not. But no matter what happens between now and the 6th of December, it's still the 2 biggest games on the calendar for a lot of Newcastle fans.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and obviously, before Middlesbrough come in and shake up the both of you, because we're coming hot. I tell you, this season is ours. And on to that fact, Middlesbrough kicked their season off today against Lincoln City at home to the beautiful Riverside Stadium, the best stadium in the world, some say. I know Ted said it. He won't say it on the record, but off the record, he knows it. It's a massive game today. We have spent big money, lads, in trying to get back and go one better this season. Will Lancashire, a potential £20 million striker up front. We've gone and signed Vitek as well from Manchester United. He had a fantastic loan season at Bristol City. He was in the top goalkeeping echelon, a couple just behind Rushworth, who obviously is now at Coventry. It's a massive, massive gamble when you spend this big teddy boy in the championship, because everyone's coming for you. Everyone takes notice and everyone sits back and goes, geez, they're spending. Well, it becomes with a little bit of a weight to carry, doesn't it? Because then you're expected, you know what I mean? And I've seen every man and his dog doing their championship predictions this season, mate, and every single one of them has had Middlesbrough in the top 3, I would say, there or thereabouts, because of the money we spent and also the names we brought in. But I would be bullish in sitting here as a diehard Middlesbrough fan saying that I'm not more optimistic than ever, because we seem to have addressed the issues that I saw last season. One being the goalkeeper competition. I feel like Sol Brynn, like you said, is a great goalkeeper, but he's never had competition. And competition in places is nothing short of fantastic for a better footballing team, because if you have a bad day, you've got someone, knocking on your door for your spot. So it keeps you, hungry and alive to try and, hold down that spot. Vitek is a fantastic keeper, but he knows if he has a bad game, or a bad run of games, I should say, Sol Brynn is there waiting, and we know what he was like last season. Same for Will Lancashire. We got Kyle Joseph and Tommy Conway and all the likes now as well. It feels like we're starting to build quite a competitive squad, mate, and I'm very, very excited. Middlesbrough taking on League One Lincoln City. Obviously, they've lost their manager to Bristol City. They've lost their top striker to Bristol City as well. Absolutely Bristol City Super League One team they're building there. But it should be, I think, a good win for Middlesbrough today after what we are hoping to achieve this season, what we have spent, and obviously given that Lincoln City coming up from League One. Your thoughts on your prediction for today, mate?
I'll just address the spending first, because this is how much the Championship has evolved as a division. It used to be a case of if you spent the big bucks, that was pretty much you out of that division. Now you've got to spend around 30 or 40 million just to be within a chance of being in the top 8 positions. You've got to spend that money to keep up with your competitors. It's just insane how it's changed. So, yeah, listen, it's going to be an absolutely massively competitive division. Like I said before, I'm really looking forward to actually being a bystander watching some Championship football this season. So, I can't see Lincoln doing much damage. A lot of these League One clubs, it's a bit like the situation with Championship clubs going up the Premier League. All right, the trend was bucked last season slightly, but I fully expect this to be a tough year for Lincoln City. They've got to go to a very, very tough ground to go to in their first game. I think the Borough fans will be more than up for this one. I can't see anything past quite a simple win. If Lincoln get a goal, they'll be absolutely chuffed. Let's give them that. Let's just say Borough 3, Lincoln 1.
Oof, that's my boy. I went for 5-0. Why not? Why not? I'm back, baby. I'm back 5-0. Easily 5-0. Will Lankshee's going to score 4. And then Harry Kane's going to be like, oh my God, my record, because Will Lankshee's coming. Steve, it's going to be absolutely crazy, mate, sitting here hopefully after a good win tonight on this podcast next week, talking about promotion. After 1 week, you know what I'm like, you know how it gets, you know, and you sit there and you say, stay calm, right? It's a long old season. I tell you, Steve, don't worry, mate. I'm staying calm. It doesn't matter. We're sitting second for the whole season. You say, right, there's still a long way to go. And then we get to January and we start kicking ourselves in the balls and everyone's starting to cry. And you said, look, told you it's a long old season. And then I'm going to be sitting here again after another win saying, but mate, Lincoln City, we have to get off with a good start. I think today, obviously, with the money we've spent, the players we've brought in, Lincoln City coming up from League One, it's at home. I think it's time to put away any nightmare scenarios and just see a good, decent win from Middlesbrough today.
Yeah, just go through that again, right? What do I usually do?
You stay calm. You say, don't get ahead of yourself. It's a long season. There's 50 games to go. Right, put your balls away. Take your shirt. Put your shirt on. Do you know what I mean? There's no point running down the street naked yet. Come on, Ryan. Just stay calm. There's a long old season. I remember we've been together for years, Steve, and you're the most humble and perfect man that I come and speak to, because you just bring me back down to earth. Teddy boy, you steal my corner flags. The championship is bloody tough, and you can spend as much money as you want in this league. You can go and buy all the players in the world, and you have to rock up against teams like Lincoln, who will just dogfight, and they will do a back 5 or 6 or whatever they need to do to get a point. And it is a absolutely tenacious division to get out of, as we all well and know, mate. But can we start off with a win today if you were to do a prediction, mate?
Sorry, Ryan, I lost my headphones there. What did you say? I do counselling quite well on this show.
I said do.
You lads definitely need to give me some counselling this year. So I'm looking for huge payback this year. By the way,
I got you.
As for Middlesbrough, listen, Middlesbrough against Lincoln, it's going to be a win for Borough. There's no doubt about it. 100% win for Borough. From my perspective, I think that Middlesbrough will be there or thereabouts this season. They're going to give it a good go. But Lincoln, I agree with Ted. You know, it's one of those scenarios where you just think, well, you know, Lincoln will be happy with a goal. I think Lincoln will stay up, by the way. I think they will give a good account of themselves this season. I don't think they'll be the whipping boys. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win for Borough as well.
All right, we've got the season kicking off today. We've seen it today. We've seen it last night with Wolves, obviously playing out a 2-2 draw with Blackburn. Lads, it's time to get your championship predictions in. I want to know who is getting promoted, the top 3, Teddy Boy and Steve, in the championship. Who's joining you lads in the Premier League, hopefully next season? And which 3 teams are going to go down? Are we going to see another Leicester, Burnley, or someone like that going to just fall from grace and get down into a relegation battle again? Are we going to see any surprise packets? Are there teams that you just think are going to blow us apart? Is there Cardiff going to go back-to-back? Cardiff had a fantastic League One, you know, and bounce straight back to the championship. Is there any surprise packets? Are we seeing it? Teddy Boy, I'll come to you first, mate. I want your top 3 teams that are getting promoted to join you in the Premier League, mate, and the 3 teams getting relegated from the championship.
I haven't changed my mind about who'll go up. I think it'll be West Ham. I think West Ham will go up as champions. I think Middlesbrough will go up in second place, and I think Wrexham will be the playoff champions. I haven't changed my mind about that from a couple of weeks ago, certainly. To go down, sorry, Lincoln City fans, I know thousands of them watch this show. I can see Lincoln going straight back to millions. Yes, indeed. I think they'll go down. I think Charlton will struggle this season.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm just looking at the table now, who else do I think is going to go down at that? I think Bolton might struggle again as well.
Ooh. I'm actually going for, obviously, Middlesbrough to go back up. I think West Ham will return as well. actually have a sneaky that Millwall are going to go up in third. They were very close last season, and I think they've managed to, they obviously had that loss to Hull City. And I actually think Millwall are going to go up in third spot. I think they're going to do it through the playoffs. I think they'll have that wild card sort of issue as well. So I think Middlesbrough, West Ham, and Millwall are my three going up. As for relegation, I think Lincoln, unfortunately, because of the loss of manager and their top scorer, it just doesn't bode well to start a championship season, especially after such a tremendous League One season. There's just too much change for me. I see them going down. Unfortunately, I think in and there or thereabouts, I also see Bolton. I just don't think Bolton have spent enough to stay in the championship. We know what tougher division that is. And I just think Blackburn Rovers are going to struggle. I mean, even though last night, Mogger as well, they were flirting with it last season there, and it's between them and Portsmouth. I can't keep going back before. And I don't want to say, I'm not going to say Mogger because I love him too much. So I'm going to say Portsmouth. I'm going to say Portsmouth are going to join the three relegated teams going down for me as a prediction. Steve, your predicted, mate, 3 going up, 3 going down.
I don't know what order, but I'm going to go Middlesbrough, I'm going to go West Ham, and I'm going to go Blackburn as the 3 going up. Going down is different. It's so difficult, really. I think Preston might be there, I think Preston might be a strange one today. I think QPR.
Oh,
maybe
interesting. Yeah,
and I'm going to go Watford.
Wow, that's actually a good shout as well. I forgot about them. Yep.
Even with the 5 managers, they'll change.
Oh,
yes, exactly.
Ridiculous, that, isn't it? Obviously, it's incredible to see what manager they're going to have each week to week. Lads, before we wrap things up, obviously we've got one more week. We will be back next week to predict with the Premier League kicking off after next week's show, but. Sitting here right now, again, I want to get your predictions for the Premier League. I think I've locked in right now because looking at the transfers, looking at the managers, we seem to have locked in every single person who we will be coaching for at least the first couple of weeks of the Premier League. I'm going to get some predictions off you, and I will kick things off to allow you to think. I want the team that's going to win the Premier League, and I want the 3 teams coming down. I won't give you the top 3 or anything, but just give me the team that's going to win the Premier League this season. And who's going down? I think it's quite easy. I think Arsenal are going to win the league again. Unfortunately,
I think Arsenal for me as well.
Yeah, and Arsenal. Yeah, I think Arsenal will go back to back. I think they've just recruited well, and Arteta seamlessly will just find a way. And I, funny enough, think the 3 teams that came up are going to go straight back down. I don't see Hull City sticking around. I don't think they've spent well enough. Same as Ipswich Town with the change of manager, especially losing Kieran McKenna. I don't see Gary O'Neill as an all-saving god. And Hull, I just think are going to struggle. I just really do think they're going to struggle. So, and I think, Ipswich Town, with the manager change and stuff like that, I just see these 3 teams going straight back down as well.
And Coventry, nobody wants them to do well.
Coventry, if any of the 3 teams that came up that think I could stay, it is Coventry, because Lampard's, do you remember when he had that little run with Everton and he just found a way to be annoying? And I feel like Coventry might be able to be annoying this season, but it'll take someone else to fall from grace completely, I think, for those 3 teams to not stay up. But your terms, you've said Arsenal, Teddy Boy, but your 3 teams to come back down?
Yeah, Arsenal, just because the competition around them has either changed manager or weakened their side. So Arsenal for me are almost nailed on win it again. Yeah, completely agree. The 3 promoted sides. I don't think they've bought well, to be honest with you. In terms, I know Coventry have sort of broken their own transfer record with the signing, but they just need more. And apparently their owner said that he didn't want to, didn't want to kind of completely change the whole look of the side like what Sunderland did. Well, if you did what Sunderland did, mate, you wouldn't have a problem. You'd be playing European football at the end of next season. But listen, I cannot see either of those 3 coming to much. Yeah, they'll pick up some shock wins as they always do. But Coventry starting against Arsenal, I think it is their first game. That's a pretty much a baptism of fire. That so the 3 that came up will go back down, mate.
Steve, over to you, mate. And just before we do, breaking news, obviously, Middlesbrough's deal with Ashley Phillips looks like it's in advanced stage again. It was meant to happen last weekend, Middlesbrough fans, but it looks like it will go through in the next 24 hours or so. That deal has been renegotiated with Tottenham, and it looks like Ashley Phillips will be our next signing in the door, moving from Tottenham and signing a 5-year deal for Middlesbrough. Over to you, Steve. 3 relegated teams, mate. You agreed with me in Arsenal winning the league again, but your 3 relegated teams for this season from the Premier League.
I agree with you guys. I think we've got a hat trick. I think all 3 teams that came up will go straight back then.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy pickings for any of them. I mean, look, they're spending a lot of money. Ipswich Town have spent a lot of money. More than anyone. I think they're up there with, the second or third highest Premier League teams who have spent money, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. And I think the Premier League's more ferocious than ever, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting. We're in for a long season ahead, lads, and it all kicks off for Middlesbrough today. It kicks off for Newcastle and Sunderland next week. We'll be back to predict those games on the eve of the Premier League, but it is time to fly, Middlesbrough fans. 150 years of our great club. We are on the way in about 3 hours' time. We'll be taking on Lincoln City in what is the start of the EFL Championship. If you are going to the game today, please have a safe day out. Enjoy the sun at the Riverside. I'll be sitting here in the rain. Hooray. Teddy Boy and Steve, thank you so much as always for joining me, lads. We have spoken about all of the things going on in the Northeast as we do each and every week here on Three's a Crowd. We appreciate each and every one of you tuning in and listening and giving us feedback and giving us comments, whether they're funny, not so funny, mean. Don't be mean, all right? We're all sensitive, okay? We're very, very sensitive. And look at what Steve's going through at the moment, okay? Let's just be nice to Steve. Maybe give it to Ted this week, not to me as well. I'm sensitive. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. Be safe in this crazy world of ours. We'll be back next week to preview the start of a Premier League season. We're back underway. 26-27 gets us underway, and I cannot believe it's here. We'll be here covering every week with the madness right here on Three's a Crowd.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.